So I'm using this free blockheads patchwork quilt pattern to make a little sort of, not really a tablecloth, more of a 3-panel cloth that goes on a coffee table that I have, purpose being to hide all sorts of stuff under it. So it's going to have, that's going to be the top panel. This was the first block that I made. It was number 19 in the blockheads. This one is number 6, this one that I'm about to make now for the second part of this series. So if you missed that, the one where I made that, go back and watch that. I'll leave a link to it, hopefully a card or something on the video I can put in. But this coffee table, that's going to be on the top with a white surround, so it's going to be a bit bigger than that. And I have a pillowcase that I thrifted that's going to be a nice white cotton pillowcase. It's going to be nice for that. So that's the top. And then the next panel is this number blockhead 6, and that is going to hang down one side of the coffee table. And then I'm going to pick another block in a kind of an applique style, hopefully, that hangs down the other side. I don't care about that side too much because I don't go around that side of the coffee table. There's like a day bed that is used as a couch, and basically I put a whole load of stuff on it. I don't sit on it that often anymore. You'll see me sitting on the floor a lot, definitely when I'm sewing. That's my new thing, sitting on the floor. But I was surprised how quick this was to make. And this one is going to be nearly as quick. I think there might be more triangles put together in it. It looked more complicated because when it shows you, you can keep notes on all your swatches and everything. It shows a lot more options, but I think that's just because you might not want all of these plain. So that's why I have got not all the ones that are plain. I've gone for the option of having not that much plain in it. And this is going to be a bit, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but we'll see. That's the fun of doing these things color wise. I bought new fabrics, but you know the way it is. I bought pinks, and some of them I love and some of them are screamingly loud. So I don't love all of them. And the theme of this is, they called it regatta because it's supposed to be like sails of a boat moving, and it's a great idea. I picked it because I love the shape and everything, and it's very active with the spikiness and everything. But I'm not doing it in blues, obviously, but you do need it's great this is in grayscale because you're looking at the tones of it, and you do need one very dark tone. So if you were working in pinks, you'd need a very dark pink. I don't have a very dark pink that isn't like a screamingly loud pink. So I made an executive decision there that I only use a dark blue for that central panel. So mostly, if you look at it, mostly it's the same triangles I was doing for the last thing, which if anybody's never done one of these before, and I'm inexperienced myself, but I show you how to make those in the last one. It gives you full instructions on the PDF that you can print out as well, which is great. But there I am in the middle of doing this one. And to put them together, it's just running stitch, and you draw a few lines, and I have fairly simple tools for drawing the lines. This little part of, you'll recognize this from school days, this sort of right angle triangle is very handy for getting right angles for cutting your squares and seeing if you're still squared up after you have things cut. And for marking, like on these, I've marked my seam allowances so that I don't start going too wonky. I went a bit wonky on the last one, but it's kind of forgiving. I didn't get it perfect. This doesn't line up perfectly. And somebody who's really expert at quilting and patchwork techniques would find that very irritating. But I think it's one of those things you get better at it. And I think that even somebody at the level of just able to do a running stitch, which is what you're mostly doing for this, is going to be able for this project. So I wouldn't think you wouldn't be able to do it just because it's got a lot of pieces to put together. It's not that complicated. So my color scheme, I'm breaking rules all over the place because I have two different sections that are the same color that are buttoned up against each other in places. But this was the best I could get it in terms of tones. If I imagine this was grey instead of all colourful, I'm looking for things that are the same tone for my beigey colours. And then I wanted an injection of yellow because another colour consideration is I'm trying to pick up patterns from things that are in other places in the room. So I have a few things. I have a lot of stuff like this that are like little accent colours in my room that I'm trying to pick up those colours to make the whole room look like it's not just a jumble of different colours. So in my living room, I've got a lot of reds, greens, and yellow accent colours. And I have some blue because I have things like patchwork cushions that have that pattern in it. I'll show you one of the back of one of the cushions that I'm forever patching, and it gets a different look every time I patch it. So this cushion gets a lot of use, and this is the back of it, and you see how I've used quite a lot of that blue in it, and the red is picking up red of various other things in the room. And then the front gets patched regularly. It's looking for another bit here now, and that's a work in progress all the time. So, and then, even this lighter blue is kind of picking up the lighter blue in that. So the colours in the room aren't too mad, and I have some expanses of plain colour. So in this tablecloth that isn't a tablecloth, the white around it is going to give the eye a rest from these busy areas of colour. So I'm not making the room even more crowded than it is because, as I say, it's a small space. Now for the design of the piece, now that I've explained why I'm using certain colours in it, these points over on this side, because I'm not doing this all in blues for a marine theme, the points on this side, I'm making them red because they need to be, my idea is that I have the lighter spikes on this side and going with this idea of movement, I'm moving from lighter to darker on this side. So I've got the darkest bit here and dark red over here. So it's not exactly following the tonal plan of this either. But this is what creativity is about, isn't it? It's about breaking rules. So I'm just in the process of making those spikes here. And I'll get those two spikes out of this one sheet of square red design. And then I have, when I cut it up, I'll have two triangles with red on half of it and beige on the other half, and that'll be that side there, you see. So, and then the bottom, there's going to be more florals, and it might be one of the louder ones like that one, although I'm not that crazy about that fabric, really. It's a bit ich. But another thing that I have that's trying to unify this a bit is the theme of florals, or plants at least, okay? And everything has something floral or planty going on in it. So that's an idea that's trying to unify a piece that has different colours. The third panel I'm thinking reds and blues. I think I might have ordered more reds. I do have a little set here of some reds I can use in it. I'm seriously low on blues. I think that's the only blue I have left. But we'll see. We'll see what I come up with for that last panel. That's down the road a bit. So I have two rows kind of these done, and I'll get the last two sewn together in twos first, and then sewn together in rows. If you're not sure technically how you sew the rows together or anything, don't take my word as, you know, the only way you can do it, but it's the way after I looked up how to do these things that seemed logical to me, and that's in the last video, because I showed you more of that putting it together stuff in the first video, so I'm not going to repeat myself too much there on that, but you can see how the first stage of it is put together before you cut the thing down the middle. And these bits here are very simple. They're a 2x5 size rectangle for the middle shapes. So there's not that much different from the first block. If you did the first block and managed it, you don't have to choose the blocks. I chose it all. You can do different ones. And it's actually a very relaxing, slow stitching, mindful kind of thing to do, because you're always working with these small squares and doing small lines of running stitch that has a kind of repetitive quality to it that's not irritating, because you're changing the fabrics that you're working on quite frequently on this. So it keeps you really interested. But at the same time, you can settle down into a bit of a rhythm about your sewing and not feel you have acres of sewing left to do, because you can see the little triangles that you're making starting to kind of pile up, and your piece comes together very quickly, but you get the enjoyment of sewing those lines of running stitch and taking your time enjoying doing them, you see. I just found another square that might have been better in that spot, because you see the way this is tonally darker than that, really. I've got the same issue going on up here, and you're losing the pattern a little bit, or the impact of it at least, by doing that. So that might be better there. But what I'll do is I'll just look at all the pieces when I have them cut out, look at them all together and reassess then. I'll press them and everything, reassess them when I have them laid out neatly. Because it wouldn't be the end of the world to make more of those. I think I have enough that I don't have to take that apart, and then I can use them for something else. They always come in handy. But we'll see. It might be okay. But it's an option. And I don't mind that fabric. That's quite nice. It might be better. Don't know. These decisions are kind of fun making them as well. So here it is with the first seams in and pressed, and I can see how the design looks. And I think I'm gonna get away with that side okay. Remember I said I might change it up for that material, but I think it shows up okay. When you see the whole lot together, it's all right, and it's, you know, lighter towards the darker over here. And I just left the other one over here to show you how it looks in relation to the other one, because they're all part of same piece. They'll be separated by islands of white, but they do relate to each other, so I think it's going to be nice. I wanted the one on the top of the table to be more striking, and that you look at it more than the one on the side of the table. So that's why I've only one, well, two, I suppose, really bold colours that draw your eye in. But they're not very powerful colours, because I don't want your eye looking downwards in the room. I want it to be mostly on the top of the table on that design. You see, that's the main design. But it's pretty, and I like the pink and red and beige in relation to the other colour that I chose, which is just all shades of green with some yellowish in there as well. They do relate to each other, so I'm happy enough with that. So I have instructions for how to sew, what order to sew things together in. You see, they give you the instructions for that, which is quite nice. You do the centre ones together first, then you do twos, and then you presumably do kind of get the rows joined. There are more instructions in the first video, in more in depth, you know, for how I managed it on this one, what order I did things in. But my first job would be to do that center panel if I'm following the instructions of this, which are very good, you know. Okay, so it's later in the day and I have the first part of the joining up process done. The next one is doing the rows across. And as I say, it goes into more detail in the previous video about how I handled that. I'm going to press it, turn it over, press it, and see what way the seams want to lie in the back, you see. So I'm not going to go over all that in this video. Sorry about the hand, jogging related injury. I took a break to jog, but I skinned my fingers pulling on my jogging shoes. So I got a lot done in one day. Quite pleased. Just have to get the flipping iron out, face up to it. It's not too bad. And it does look really nice pressed. So that's motivation for doing it. Just sits better. I'm going to have to trim up bits before I finish sewing them together and then do the rows, just to get everything standard size. You're supposed to end up with it 9.5 inches. The last one I ended up with it 9 inches. So, you know, if I don't get 9.5 inches, it'll still be fine. But it's looking nice. Happy enough with that. Ready to sew my rows now. There we are, all finished. I think it looks really nice. This maybe is slightly lost compared to these spikes, and might have been better in pink, but it'd be very samey in pink. You know, I like the kind of just slight jolt of a different color there, and I did want the little bits of yellow, so I'm happy enough with it, and it's cute. I'm just showing it to you on the white pillowcase so that you see how it looks against white. It's lovely and fresh and springy, and I wanted all the florals, of course, spring to summer vibes. And here it is in relation to the other one. They're not going to be that close together, but just to show you how the colors relate to each other, because it's all going to be, when the 3 blocks are done, one piece, isn't it? And here's the back, because it's interesting to see what way seams are pressed, because you know how I love ironing. I can see the point of ironing, you know, something can look a bit baggy and buckled and everything, and then you iron it and it looks grand, you know. So I'm pressing my seams to the sides still. Some people press some seams or all seams outwards. With all the sort of, you know, measuring the 1/4 inch seam allowance a bit better, I did manage to get a bit nearer to the 9.5 size that they said it would end up. But there's not much in the difference at all, you know. It's only like a few little centimeters of a difference, you know. So yeah, I'm very happy with how it looks so far, and it's pretty. It's very pretty. So the third one, the final block, is going to be done very differently, because that's the one from the 250 anniversary Jane Austen block, and it's a very curvy shapes in it block, and it is a floral shape, and also it is a appliqued block. So it's done differently from, doing seams like this. This one, these blocks will be appliqued down in that I'm just going to put them over the fabric, turn the edges down and sew them to the fabric. That's an applique, isn't it? Um, so like I'm not going to cut up this fabric very much, and it joins them in an easy way, and you only need to use one sheet of your white fabric, not a double layer, to cover all the seams and protect them in the back, because they're lying on top of the white fabric, you see. So I think that'll work quite well. But the other one is applique. The whole technique is applique. So that'll be an interesting change, and see can I handle the curves and everything, because I'm trying to improve my technique as well. But I love this. I love that shape so much. I think it's really cool shape. It's like a spiky monster, and then this lovely soft heart shape is lovely with it. Yeah, happy.